Okay, I want to share with you a little exercise and information about how to sit, especially if you tend to spend a lot of time seated. What we do, the repetitive actions, the things that we do all the time, um, have an imprint in our system, in our bodies. So if you're sitting constantly, and let's say you're seated and you're kind of slouching, letting your back round and resting on the back of the chair, your muscles, your muscle groups are really smart. They really want to conserve energy, and they think, okay, this is the way that you're going to spend most of the time seated, right? So they want to be efficient. So they kind of start shortening all the muscles in the front of the body. They start shortening to conserve energy and to keep you in the position that you use the most. And that is a problem because we're not meant to sit. We were not born to sit in chairs. We were born to stand and to walk. So the idea here is that we start being really clean about the way that we sit. So we're not sitting on the joints, we're not joint reliant, but we are muscle reliant. So we make our sitting time a time that is really efficient in terms of strengthening and toning the muscle groups that can keep us upright. So the first thing is, do not use the back of the chair as a resting point, meaning you don't slouch. So when we do this, and I'm going to move the chair in a moment for you to see how it looks on profile. So I'm going to move the chair for you to see what's happening here. I'm completely rounded, right? This is the way we type on the computer or drive, right? And I'm closing, my body is kind of closing the whole front of the body, the abdominal area. Here, not only we have abdominals, we do have the internal organs. Here we have our lungs, we have our heart. So if we're here, we're really closing and restricting the functioning of the internal organs and the breath, our lungs, our heart. So it has implications not just on the superficial muscles. Whatever we're doing on the superficial level, on the muscle groups, it's affecting internally, not just our internal organs, but also affect our mind and our emotions. There are some studies done where they found out that people that sit for long periods of time on a regular basis, it only takes 20 minutes to start getting depressed. And it makes sense because as you're slouching, you're cutting circulation to certain organs in your body, you're restricting your breath. So your brain is not getting what it needs to keep you awake, alert, and in an efficient and good way. So that means that you're sending a message to the brain that it's being deprived of oxygen. So it kind of makes sense that everything is connected. It's not just a thought, an idea. It actually is. So don't use the back of the chair. And now the next thing that I want you to explore is you're going to be rounding your back, and then you're going to be coming up forward. So you're tucking your tailbone or sitting on the back of your pelvis, and now you're coming all the way frontal. These are two endpoints, two kind of extremes, and if you have that mobility in your pelvis, you're able to do them both. What I want you to do is to sit right in the middle. You're sitting right on the sitting bones, the center of the sitting bones. So then you're growing upright from the bowl of your pelvis where you're seated upwards. So the spine is lengthening. And then if your feet are kind of dangling or not completely rooted, please use blocks or books maybe at home that you have. Put a couple of books, same height though. So you can put your feet on blocks or on books that you feel rooted, that you can actually press the floor away and just feel grounded. And just notice how you feel in terms of what's keeping you upright. And ideally, you're feeling that what's keeping you upright this way, seated, it's muscles hugging in from the front to the back to the front. And if this is not the way you sit generally, of course, don't do this for an hour. Give yourself like maybe 2 minutes to practice this a day, several times throughout the day. It's very common that when you start changing a pattern that is very ingrained in you, that you've been doing it for a long time, for years or decades, that there's certain muscle groups that are starting to wake up. And if you're doing it for a long period of time, we're causing other problems. So give yourself time to do 2 minutes a day, several times a day, to practice this new way of seated. So I hope you practice it, and if you feel like, especially right on the back body to the sides of your spine, you start feeling some discomfort, a lot of it has to do with those muscles to the sides of the spine and supporting your spine that they're starting to tone. So they're starting to contract to keep you erect. So it's a good idea to start thinking of, okay, what is sharp pain or a discomfort that is not okay, and what is the sensation of a muscle contracting, which is their job to contract, and then a muscle releasing, or the sensation of a stretching of a muscle. So we start the discernment of, this is a signal of my body to change what I'm doing because this is pain, and this is a sensation, a toning, muscle strengthening. Okay? I hope you enjoy it and practice it every day.